City after Tuesday forecast, and it's going to be cold. Winds will make it feel even colder than that, so definitely bundle up if you can. Just stay inside. As we look forward.
Breaking news from the Supreme Court: the justices have agreed to take up whether states can ban same-sex marriage.
One of the most iconic cases in history has now been taken up.
A new year, a new decision. The Supreme Court says it will take up the issue of same-sex marriage.
It's a historic day here because the Supreme Court has never agreed to decide this question. Now it is taking it. It's
Take up the issue of same-sex marriage. The justices will hear the cases in April, and they will ponder whether the Constitution requires states to issue marriage licenses.
This is a historic announcement by the U.S. Supreme Court and a major sign of hope for countless same-sex couples.
The Supreme Court will take that step in
Again, we have to wait until they actually issue their decision.
And no matter what they decide, they will make history.
The Supreme Court took up those cases today. The arguments are going to happen in April. And then probably in June, the Supreme Court of the United States will issue what very well might be the biggest gay rights ruling ever.
Good afternoon, Freedom to Marry. This is Marc.
Okay, the Supreme Court has said this is it. We've got, what, 4 or 5 months to now continue driving this narrative of America's ready, and it's time, as we've been doing. We really have to exhibit that urgency as we're sending out the message. Winning isn't won, and it's not a done deal until it's done. The case before the Supreme Court is the marriage case. It's the case seeking the freedom to marry, the culmination of everything we fought for.
My biggest fear is that we lose. This is not just a normal court case. This is a case about the dignity of millions of Americans.
We stand now before the Supreme Court, having gone from 0 states where gay people can marry little more than a decade ago, to now 37 freedom to marry states. But we're not done until we've won the freedom to marry with no state and no family left out. And the job is not done, and it's urgent, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference whether it happens this year or next year or 5 years from now. It makes a real difference to real people.
Evan has been the leader of this entire movement, and he's gathered together political operatives, message people, new media, all looking towards the same vision and moving in the same direction.
Evan has driven this thing. From the mid-'80s, he has driven it all the way through to today.
You know, one way or another, I've been working on this for the most part of most days for 32 years now.
Are you filming?
Yeah.
Don't just curious me when you're filming. That's not fair.
Why?
Mike, I'm gonna make you turn it off. I mean it.
Okay. I mean, one of the things you do is activism, okay, for gay rights. Why do you do that?
Because it bothers me. Injustice, Papa, the sound bothers me. I think it's unfair that people should not be able to live their lives and make their own choices in a country that's built on respect for individual choice and diverse exercise of freedom.
Evan is the extremely unique guy who, as he realized he was gay, he was like, I'm gay and I'm being treated unequally. What's the matter with the rest of the world?
So this is my neighborhood, this is my street. We used to walk up here to elementary school. You felt part of a community, supported and loved. So very, very lucky, very lucky. I grew up in a loving family. We were certainly Jewish identified, and I had a bar mitzvah, and we went to Jewish summer camp. But we weren't an intensely religious family, but the values were there. Bring your part, mend the world, care for others, be a mensch.
Evan was always very bright, you know, he would try to help out and all of that. You were an A-OK kid.
I always used to say someday he was going to be president of the United States.
He was supposed to be the first Jewish president. In fact, I remember he was 4 years old, maybe 4 years old, and he was reading the New York Times. Not only was he reading it, he was understanding it.
And when he went away to the Peace Corps and then came home was when he announced that he was gay. And then we thought, I'm not sure he's going to be president, but he's going to be something.
It was clear to me that he was going to be a winner, and it is so far.
So far.
So far.
Right.
No, it's true.
We now have oral arguments set for April 28th, and we're going to be doing a national television ad. It's not a done deal. The Supreme Court does not just look at the Constitution and give an answer. You have to earn your way to being considered worthy of equal protection.
And so our teams are preparing the briefs so the court hears from all of America, business leaders, clergy, civil rights leaders, to give them the arguments and the comfort of knowing that the country is ready.
I think that most of those companies will join.
And we're trying to build on the sports teams that have signed on. You know, the Tampa Bay Rays are super enthusiastic, and you know, everybody.
The question isn't just will we win, it's how did we get to this moment at all?
In a national telephone poll earlier this year, NBC News found that a narrow majority felt that homosexuality was immoral.
We were perverts and outcasts. We were dangerous. We were threatening. That was the dominant narrative of LGBT people in this society.
Most Americans are repelled by the mere notion of homosexuality. The average homosexual is not interested in nor capable of a lasting relationship like that of a heterosexual marriage.
Gays were the dregs, the low of the low, just people to be shat upon, people to be abused by the police, people to be arrested. There were no legal protections in place, and it was so stigmatized. It was a bad way back then.
What do you want the police to do?
We want them off our backs. We want them to stop harassing us, stop pushing us around.
The first wave of marriage litigation was in the immediate aftermath of the Stonewall Rebellion.
We want the freedoms to love that belong to the heterosexuals in this country, and we're going to have them.
In that movement were several major cases seeking the freedom to marry. All of those cases were rubber stamped away.
Officials turned them down flat, stating bluntly, quote, "A marital relationship cannot exist between faggots."
They were laughed out of court. People had no idea what being gay was back then, and what they knew was terrible.
In 1983, while at Harvard Law School, I wrote my thesis on gay people and the freedom to marry. I argued that by claiming this vocabulary of marriage, we would be achieving an engine of transformation that would help change non-gay people's understanding of who gay people are.
And when you read that thesis, it's amazing how the vision and the roadmap of how we get to where we are today has really come to be. But back in 1983, most people thought it was ridiculous.
When Evan wrote his paper, trying to win marriage equality was not even on the radar of the gay movement. He went through years of being really ridiculed by many people who would literally laugh in his face and just say, "That's ridiculous. That's never going to happen."
When I wrote my paper back in 1983, there were very, very few gay organizations. They were just beginning to make some progress, and here comes AIDS.
The lifestyle of some male homosexuals has triggered an epidemic.
Tens and tens of thousands of people were dying.
And AIDS shattered the silence about gay people's lives. And that transformed our movement from being a movement in which what we were really asking for was to be let alone. Don't arrest us, don't harass us, don't attack us, to a movement about being let in.
3 gay couples, 2 men and 4 women, sued Hawaii's Department of Public Health to overturn the ban on same-sex marriages.
It was in 1990 that Denora asked me to marry her.
They reached out to me and said, would you be interested in doing this case? And some believed that the time wasn't right, and some believed not the right thing to fight for.
I mean, people were very afraid and thought that we would generate a backlash. Well, that it was hopeless, there was no way we would win.
The case is about ending discrimination to citizens of this nation, and we believe we will prevail in the state of Hawaii. Thank you.
Dan and I really bonded, and we began to really strategize about how to win this case in Hawaii and how to leverage this case in Hawaii for the national implications that it would have.
He'd been thinking about this and writing about this for a decade, so he was ready to help make a really powerful case to the Hawaii Supreme Court, and they won. They won.
A Honolulu judge told Hawaii state government it cannot deny a marriage license to gay couples.
Today, the court in Hawaii has struck a strong blow against discrimination in marriage based on sex.
The win in Hawaii at the court level was Evan's vision completely vindicated.
So that's when the marriage movement really got going. People saw that this wasn't simply a pipe dream. But gay people never married in Hawaii. The political system shut it down.
Are we so wise today that we are ready to reject 5,000 years of recorded history? I don't think so.
Congress said, oh my God, this really could happen. So they said, federal government doesn't respect these marriages, and it moved through Congress so quickly.
President Clinton has signed the bill that bans the federal government from recognizing same-sex marriages.
The so-called Defense of Marriage Act defines marriage as a union between one man and one woman.
Even though we experienced a backlash, Evan understood the power of it, and he never wavered.
Back then, people called him the Paul Revere of gay marriage. You know, marriage is coming, marriage is coming, marriage is coming.
Marriage has a host of legal and economic as well as social benefits and protections attached with it that lesbians and gay men are automatically denied every day because we cannot get married.
And I think he felt like his true gift was to be the marriage guy.
Why is it so important to attain for gays the institution of marriage?
Marriage, we have long recognized in this country, is a basic human right and a very important personal choice. And gay people want to make that choice with the person they love for the same mix of reasons that non-gay people do. I knew that this wasn't just a case, and it wasn't just about Hawaii. It was a national conversation and became a global conversation that was gonna change everything.
I guess you could say if Evan is the godfather of the marriage movement, Mary Bonauto is the godmother.
Mary was hired by GLAAD as our first civil rights project lawyer.
I started because Massachusetts had become the second state to enact a non-discrimination law in November 1989.
One of the first things that came across her desk as a GLAAD attorney was a request to get married.
I felt awful telling people that I would not represent them in marriage litigation. And of course, every time I got one of those calls, it was anxiety producing. I took it very seriously. I just didn't think it was the right time. Hawaii was a wake-up call to people like me to say, wow, the issue's on the table. We have to go for it. I came out in college, and it wasn't the easiest coming out. It became clear to me right away that there was massive discrimination out there. And it was the one thing that finally made sense to me and really made me happy. But other people were really unhappy about it. My parents said, when something is wrong, you should do something to change it.
We really connected on that first day we met at this first roundtable gathering of the small movement leadership. And she shared a similar view.
I definitely felt like I was in the big leagues here. Felt a little intimidated, so his warmth meant the world to me. And we discovered in short order that we both thought this was a very important issue.
I mean, she has dedicated her life to thinking about these issues, briefing these issues, arguing these issues.
I think that's a pretty strong argument, actually.
Hopefully that gives you a heads up as this proceeds to scheduling for oral argument.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
gotta go.
The United States Supreme Court is going to settle the gay marriage issue once and for all.
Yeah, the justices will hear 4 cases on the issue this spring, including one brought by a lesbian couple from Hazel Park.
So in this case, we're actually arguing 2 questions. Number 1, is it okay for states to ban gays from marrying? And number 2, is it okay for states to not respect legal marriages performed in other states?
I represent April DeBoer and Jane Rouse from Michigan, who are seeking to marry under state law. We hope to settle this issue once and for all, so that in Michigan and the entire nation, same-sex couples may marry.
Everything we have done or are doing is for our kids.
Hi.
Mommy!
You have breakfast?
Yes.
I had toast. Toast?
Between the 2 of us, Jane and I have 4 adopted children, and we currently have 1 foster child that will be adopted soon. Legally, Jacob and Nolan belong to Jane, and Ryan and Riley belong to me. We are a family together, but strictly on paper, that's the way it goes.
The law in Michigan is married couples can adopt, single people can adopt, but 2 unmarried people cannot jointly adopt, which is what obviously we are considered because gay marriage is not recognized in Michigan.
April is a NICU nurse. Jane is an emergency room nurse. They took in children who had either been abandoned or, surrendered at birth.
Can you say hi? Say hi. Say, I'm Riley. Hi, Riley. Give a little kiss. There you go. She came into our life through foster care. She has asthma, chronic ear infections. Is going back for surgery for her ears.
They brought Jacob home. Basically, the hospital let them take him home to die. No one expected for him to live. He was drug addicted. He weighed 1.9 pounds at birth. They just nursed him back to health. He is thriving. They're all thriving. They're energetic, talkative, healthy kids.
By the time they go to bed, I'm pretty exhausted. What? You want more milk? Okay, can I finish talking? Okay, thank you.
So they're asked by the state of Michigan, can you take this baby in and take care of this baby? But then when they want to adopt these children as a couple, they're prohibited from doing so.
Something happens to me, and my daughters get moved to a different house, and there's no legal action that can be taken. Think about those kids that could, in an instant, lose everything that they know.
I couldn't do nothing. I was embarrassed to be a lawyer in a state that treated people this badly.
Are you so different or dangerous or deficient in some way, so other still, that you can't participate in something that is really considered a fundamental right for all Americans?
I hope we will win this case, but yeah, nothing is certain.
We weren't going to stand still and let our children be discriminated against. We were going to do what we promised them to do, and we were going to protect them no matter what.
This is Eyewitness News Up Close.
Legalizing same-sex marriage, again, a hot topic both in our area and all around the country.
We're all Americans. We're all entitled to basic rights and protections, and we don't put that up to an up or down vote.
But all of us agree on that issue. We agree that we have civil rights. The question is whether there's a civil right to redefine marriage, and we disagree on that.
Well, the people have voted. The people elected legislators. They elected legislators to do their job. If the legislators don't do their job, the people can vote.
In this country, we're generally free to live as we choose. Gays and lesbians can live together. They have general freedom to live as all of us have freedom to live. They don't have the right to redefine marriage for the rest of society.
I believe, as so many social scientists do, that if you want to take care of children, if you want to have a nation that's strong in the future, you've got to have strong families in our communities who raise up children who have the kind of cultural values that will make them good citizens in the future. And unless you have a strong influence from a mom and a dad, they're not going to grow up into the kind of citizens that it takes to be a strong country.
Gay people don't want to marry people of the opposite gender. And the reason for that is because they're gay. So they want to be with the person that they love, and they're going to continue to do that. They're just going to do it without the same rights, securities, and protections as other people.
The church and many other faiths don't teach that we are to hate or demean people for their choices, but we do teach that there are differences between orientation and actions. And some people don't want to hear this anymore. It makes them very upset. But this is the traditional teaching of Christianity, that if we feel that we are oriented towards the same sex, that we're called not to act on that. And that is a big cross for many to bear. But that's what our faith is. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not even necessarily supposed to feel as if it's humanly possible.
The amicus briefs are due in a week and a half. Oral arguments are likely to be at the end of April.
We're pricing out the ad that we want to do to, again, sort of meta frame the...
Washington Post ad would cost between 60 and slightly over 100. When I jumped into the marriage fight, I certainly didn't know it was going to be the next 14 years of my life. You know, I had done political activism, but marriage just felt so viscerally important. I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, in a liberal household. I'd play in the baseball league and the basketball league there. It was a good place to be.
You wouldn't be wearing a suit like that, except that. Yeah, this is right.
Well, my mom passed away about 6 years ago. Father and I are still tight. We are diehard Kansas City Royals fans. Are you kidding me? Gone.
Oh, God damn.
Wow. There's no question I'm the only gay guy walking around Chelsea listening to the Kansas City Royals on my iPhone.
Woo!
All right. So this weekend was my 30-year high school reunion, and I was invited to give the Alumni Day speech. Hi. Sure. Ooh, the auditorium looks a lot better than in the old days. One of the administrators told me about her gay brother who got married in Seattle.
You being here is not just important for us to learn as a school and to welcome back alumni, but you made my family.
Oh, well, thank you. It's
No, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. It was a huge change from 30 years ago.
Please welcome Marc Solomon to the stage.
I think all alumni will say they can't believe it's been 30 years since they've been here. What I remember is sitting in these same seats with a secret that I felt like I couldn't tell anybody. I first thought I was gay around the time I was 12 years old. I remember getting ready for my bar mitzvah and starting to go to bar mitzvah parties, but I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't know anybody who was gay. Gay was bad. In college, even though my parents were activist liberal Democrats, I decided that I liked Ronald Reagan, thinking that if I were a tough Republican, sort of masculine, and that make sure that people don't think of me as someone who's effeminate or gay. I dated women, tried psychoanalysis. I really said to myself, I'm going to try to figure out a way to be straight. I tried hard, and I was as gay at 30 as I was at 12, and but I tried. I mean, I really tried.
She sent us a letter. I opened it up, and I just freaked out, and I called my wife, and she came home, and we both cried. We never thought that he was gay.
You know, my mom was, I think she was saddest that I hadn't felt comfortable telling them before. You know, and then my father was a little bit Homer Simpson-esque. He's like, so tell me, like, when you see a woman's body, you really just don't, it just doesn't do anything for you? And he's like, even this beautiful hot model with beautiful breasts, like, you just don't feel anything? And I was like, no. And he's like, I just can't understand that.
He can still throw a football, do you know? He can throw a football 60 yards. Whatever in the hell that means.
My question is, what would you tell your 16-year-old high school self?
I guess what I would say is it's okay. It's okay to be, you know, that you are who you are. When you're ready to come out, you know, do it, but it's okay to be who you are. Well, anyhow, thank you guys so much, and
yeah, I'm very proud of Marc. He's freeing his people. Just like Moses.
You know, we're trying really to identify business leaders, and clearly everybody agreed, like, getting Tampa Bay to be one of those voices would be great.
they really want to be seen as the leaders on this. So I can, do you want me to tee that up with the president of the team? You know, the more pro sports teams, the more Republicans, the more businesses we can show, the better off we are. We want to show the Supreme Court that America is ready for a national ruling.
While our litigators are doing their really deep and great work, we are working to make sure that everything that can be done outside the courtroom will be done.
You know, I'll touch base in a couple days and let you know how we're doing. I got involved with a small grassroots group called the Massachusetts Freedom to Marry Coalition. It was right around the time that 7 couples went to file for marriage licenses in Massachusetts. They were all denied, and Mary Bonauto, on their behalf, filed a lawsuit for marriage.
Massachusetts became the latest battleground state over the right to marry after 7 same-sex couples sued the state.
Now, finally, these couples...
I argued the Goodrich case, and I knew when I stood up in court, I needed to remind them that we were here seeking marriage, and that marriage itself is a commitment and a protection. And then in November 2003, I'm on my way to a hearing in Connecticut, and I get the call from Evan.
Today in Massachusetts, for the first time in U.S. history, the civil marriage laws of a state do not exclude gays.
Just after midnight, thousands celebrated what was once just a dream.
May 17th, 2004 was the most remarkable day ever. It was the first day of marriages in the country. It was just unbelievable.
That was proof to bolster what Evan had been saying for a long time, that, yeah, this could happen. We could do it.
We also had the whole world against us. There were people from all over the country carrying crosses in front of the State House, calling us evil. A lot of people thought something bad was really going to happen.
What the court is about to do is unleash chaos on our society.
And then what I remember the most is all of these statements coming in from everywhere, ripping this decision to shreds.
Marriage is an institution between a man and a woman.
Our nation must defend the sanctity of marriage.
It really felt like it was life or death.
And the whole strategy of our opponents was to shut down every other state.
The big story of the day, the New York State Senate rejects legalizing same-sex marriage.
By a 20-14 margin, the state Senate rejects a bill to legalize gay marriage in New Jersey.
A new poll finds opposition to gay marriage is actually growing in the United States.
26 states have constitutional amendments banning same-sex marriage.
In California, Proposition 8 amends the state constitution to ban same-sex marriage.
The battle has been won.
It was totally devastating.
That was the hardest moment of my career because it felt like we turned a corner and it ended up being a U-turn.
And so it's at that point we said, what we're doing, it ain't working, and we got to figure out how in terms of reaching people. And number two, we don't have a real national campaign. Freedom to Marry was still a small organization, was not raising money on its own. It was a cajoler, a pusher, a shover, but not a real staff campaign.
So the funders convened it, and it was held at Gill Foundation. And the idea of it was, can we get everybody on the same page?
Gay organizations are vastly outspent by the opponents of equality. And for us to really achieve our equal rights, we're going to have to increase what we give, we're going to have to be smarter, and more importantly, we have to get the rest of the gay community involved.
And part of the understanding, implicit, was that if we were able to come together and figure out a way forward, that the funders would back us.
We needed a single strategy. We needed a leader. We needed a level of coordination that we didn't have before.
Evan stepped up and did it.
Evan made the decision we needed to build internally a political operation to evaluate which states to go to put together campaigns in those states, to raise and invest the money that would enable us to win in these places. That's when we really transformed into this campaign center.
No one organization, no one battle was going to be able to fulfill this strategy. We needed this to become a massive movement in which everyone was doing their part, but the movement is following a strategy. We're going to win the Freedom to Marry nationwide by getting to the Supreme Court with a strong case, having built a critical mass of states and a critical mass of support to set the stage for the Supreme Court to do its part and bring the country to national resolution.
So we funded endless amounts of research to really kind of dismantle the foundations of homophobia.
We did a lot of research, focus groups, polling, and would ask straight people, what does marriage mean to you? Well, love, commitment, family. And if you ask them the same thing, well, why do same-sex couples want to get married? Well, it's because of insurance benefits and rights. So there was this huge disconnect.
At its most simple, the case that needed to be made was, we want to marry for the same reasons you do, period.
Who are gay people in reality, and how do we really live, and how are we like you?
It was the stories. It was showing couples. It was showing their love and showing their commitment to the world.
We looked at what's the most effective way of getting people to hear these words. How do you take a political battle that's happening over there to something that prompts people to talk in their kitchen table in more human terms?
And all of a sudden, there we were, really talking to people in a way that opened their hearts and really changed their minds.
For the first time, a majority of people support same-sex marriage.
We looked at the map like a chessboard, and every year we said, we're going to choose 3 states to try to win this year.
The Washington, D.C. City Council overwhelmingly passed a bill Tuesday to approve same-sex unions.
Ayes 33, nays 29.
Just in the last 8 months, 6 states have recognized gay marriages, and politicians who once opposed it are now supporting marriage equality.
Maine has become the first state to legalize same-sex marriage by popular vote.
We are standing here as equal.
Now we had won in the courts, in the legislature, and at the ballot.
Would you call this a social revolution or a cultural shift?
Both.
I think that the same-sex marriage advocates have done a credible job of getting out there and making their case. And the argument
and the other side hasn't been able to do anything but thump the Bible.
I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
DOMA is gone.
And I thought, wow, it's really happening. It's really happening.
What changed? Why are we here? Why are we now winning the freedom to marry in the courts? And why are we so hopeful as we head into the Supreme Court now? It's not the Constitution that has changed. What's changed is our knowledge of what it means to be lesbian or gay. There is no marriage without engagement.
A big part of Evan's genius and what he realized is that in order to win in the courts, we also have to win in the court of public opinion. The two things go hand in hand.
Often the court needs to have a sense that not only is the language there, but that the country is there.
On Friday, all the amicus briefs were due into the court. You know, the coverage was great. You know, Republicans, enough new names to make...
yeah, well, thanks to you.
We're just a little over a month away from being in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. And the biggest state to not have marriage is Texas. We've budgeted for another TV spot in Texas, and we need to decide if we want to do that or not.
In a place like Texas, as opposed to in the national sort of roundup, do you want to try to also say why, you know?
Why Texas is ready.
The argument in Texas is these people are still not there. You know, it's unfair. Why should Texans be left behind?
Good morning and welcome everyone. On behalf of Equality Texas, I want to thank you all for joining us for today's Family Advocacy Day.
They say everything is bigger in Texas, and I think that includes the BS from your politicians, which is bigger here in Texas than anywhere else. And so some of the folks across the street, they might demagogue the heck out of this stuff, but know that because of the work you're doing, the stories you're sharing, you know, we are going to win here in Texas.
What's his name? That is a cute little brother. Are you intimidated by doing the lobbying work, or? No.
I've never lobbied with my child, though.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to show her the ropes.
Right.
Whoa, do you guys see that?
What?
How cool it looks down there? Representative Oliveira. Hello. I'm Marty Beyer.
Sophia, very good to meet you. Hi. Sorry, my name is Margot. Very good to meet my daughter, Argot.
I've seen so many lawmakers meet with kids with same-sex parents who will be like, you know what, after I met those kids, I could only think of my own kids. And how could I treat those kids any differently than I want my kids to be treated?
You know, in particular, since having children, it's a real feeling of vulnerability that if we were just able to have our legal status reflect our actual life status.
We really made the discussion be a two-way discussion in which part of what we were saying was, what are your values? And how do all of these negative ideas and stereotypes about gay people, how do they actually fit into your values?
Halloween or something.
If you believe in the golden rule, if you believe in freedom, how can you deny something as basic as marriage?
Hey, Elise, I'm Marty Beyer.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Hi.
We wanted to convince straight people that in order for them to be good people, they needed to back gay people's right to marry.
Good team.
All right. Yay.
And hugs.
So what's happening today is pretty dramatic. On the inside of the building, we had families go in and share their real stories with their lawmakers. Outside, you had our opponents, you know, push back against our families.
The Lieutenant Governor of our great state, Dan Patrick.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out to stand for two important issues today. First and foremost is the issue of standing for traditional marriage. It's not about being anti-anyone. It's about being for marriage between a man and a woman. And it is not the federal government's business to tell Texans what to do in Texas on any issue. Thank you all for being here, and God bless.
There are 13 states that don't have marriage. None of them is as powerful or as important as Texas. Texas has always had this independent streak. Nobody, you know, don't mess with Texas.
What Texas does, the rest of the country does. Let's make sure that Texas does the right thing. I'm a judge. Normally judges don't speak in public about issues like this. But nothing in the Constitution of the United States, nothing in the laws or precedents of the federal courts give federal courts any authority over domestic policy of family and marriage in the state of Texas or the state of Alabama or anywhere else.
Enough is enough, man. Our nation is going to waste. They need deliverance, man. They need more Jesus!
I pay taxes just like everybody else, and we should all get along and say, you know what, you live your life. I don't need people to live in my bedroom. I don't want to be in your bedroom to tell you how to. I don't want to.
It's all about the children.
6 people. Here's what it say. You want equality? It's one man, one woman.
Okay, well, how about all that?
That's one man.
Families divorced.
You're trying to desensitize our children. Sick pervert.
My son is gay.
Then he's got perverted. Here, let me ask you a simple question.
Yeah, you ask me.
When children are born, nothing is in their mind. They have to learn everything, right?
I have 2 boys.
Learned.
One is gay, one is not gay. They were raised exactly the same way.
Yeah, well, one of them must have got perverted somewhere.
Me, nobody chooses that.
I've been faithful to my wife. Do you think I haven't been tempted not to be? I chose not to be. You have a son with a problem. Just because you love him doesn't mean you say, well, son, you're an alcoholic. I'm going to buy all the alcohol you want. You have to choose.
You're comparing being gay to an alcoholic.
Yes, I am, because it is a choice.
You have to choose promiscuity or purity. I have 7 children. Some are in the church.
Just take it easy. There you go.
I've never done anything like this, and I'm just, I guess I've surrounded myself with people that don't think that way, and it's just shocking to me.
Ultimately, when it's them preaching their hatred and us sharing heartfelt stories about who we are and our love for our families, we win the day.
Oh, that's the mom. She was amazing. And I told her afterwards, you were going to change the minds of a lot of people. Here she is on the TV.
The goal is that you find a really interesting person, and then you can get them to go talk to the press or share their story on their Facebook page. It's that ripple effect.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Darrell Douglas, and I work with Equality Texas and Freedom to Marry on the campaign to win marriage, not only here in Texas, but across the United States of America.
I'm here because I have children and grandchildren who fit into LGBTQ, so I'm doing everything I can to promote and secure their freedom to marry whomever they love.
They're lucky you're here, so you should
That's
feel
right.
good about that, really good about that.
Thank you.
What we're doing is very brave, but the reason why we do this in groups is so that we know that we're not alone anymore. But now we are going to sort of turn the tables. We're going to kind of role play what a conversation with somebody might look like.
Why is it important for you to be married in Texas? Because I'm deeply in love with her, and I want to be able to express my love for her here.
These conversations can be scary, and it's hard to get people to commit to having them, but you've got to show them the research. 75% of the Americans will say they know a gay person. Only 35% of those people have ever had a conversation with a gay person about marriage. But if they're truly undecided and they have a conversation with somebody they know, they then become 70% more likely to support marriage equality.
So the next thing that we're going to do is we are asking you all to commit yourselves to having 5 conversations with people you know this week about why marriage matters to you.
It's a conversation that engages people in really looking at the people involved, thinking about their own values, and change their mind.
This is personal because we're talking about my kids, and that makes me want to advocate for more.
So we talked earlier, you've got these 5 conversations. You just said all the reasons why they're important. The goal is that if I can have 5 conversations and then can teach 5 people to have the same conversations, then that's 25 conversations a week that are happening. And it just kind of adds up and adds up and adds up until marriage is fully accepted.
Do you want to call them and see if they want to go to lunch?
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, girl, did this crazy thing last night, and I wanted to share with you and see. Do you want to go to lunch tomorrow? Okay. I love you too. Bye.
So she said yes?
Yes, she said yes.
This is great. You're gonna do awesome.
The Vermont Supreme Court had this beautiful phrase in which they said that this case, this freedom to marry case, is about our common humanity. And we had to get people to see the common humanity and then understand how the law must treat all of us as people.
You want coffee? Yeah. All right, well, you want to sit down? This is a struggle that I'm going through, and it's difficult because they're my children. And
This is about a respectful dialogue. It comes back to the elements of love and what that means to every one of us.
because this is important. This
Well,
is
you're my
personal.
friend, so I support what you do. You're my friend. And because it makes you happy, I'll do what you need me to do. And you have to know that.
This is a revolution. One conversation at a time is how we win this.
Evan, it's good to have you back on this program. I mean, you have worked more than anybody else on this.
Heroes like Evan Wolfson, who joins us tonight.
We are honored to have you, sir.
Good to meet you finally. Yeah.
I know.
We can do this. Oh, hi, good to meet you. Or see you again, whichever it is.
This is what civil rights feels like. It isn't easy. It doesn't happen quickly. But if you stick with it, if you believe you can do it, you can. This moment has been decades in the making. And now, America is ready for the freedom to marry.
You know, essentially, if proponents of same-sex marriage are so certain that they've got public opinion on their side, then why not see how this plays out? Why have the court come in and short-circuit the democratic process?
The facts are not contested by anybody, that the married couple, man and woman, mom and dad family, is the best for raising children.
Same-sex couples are raising kids. They're having kids. And these laws are hurting those kids that we're raising.
Who can say that these parents are not entitled to the best for their kids? Who can say with a clear heart that these kids are not entitled to everything we as a society can give them? Who's to say that these people are not worthy of that bundle of protections and security that every parent wants for their kids and that we want for our loved ones? And that bundle is called marriage. People marry somebody because that person is precious. The essence of the right to marry is the freedom to marry the person you choose. I feel very, very lucky to have found somebody smart and centered and loving who loves me.
So what are you guys doing for the last...
But even the people who live in a freedom to marry state, as my husband and I do in New York, we're still not fully respected and secure, because when we travel to one of the discriminating states, we're vulnerable. And then, of course, there are the people who live in the discriminating states. This is one country with one constitution. We're not done until it's done everywhere.
Mary is engaged in a very intense process of preparation.
Wish I had tons of time to prepare for this. I appreciate people saying to me, Mary, you've been doing this for 20 years. You've got this. And that's true. But I don't think it's in the bag. I think we're gonna have to fight to win. You know, I'm counting every day here. I know. Do you think we could have some sort of stand-up moot type thing? We'll just stand up and I will just start talking and you guys should start hammering me.
Will do.
Okay.
But you know this stuff,
And this will just be a way to start and get in on the first mood. Maybe get a little more comfortable and then go on to the rest of them.
You know, the Supreme Court experts who I'm hearing from, people who know the justices in a way that I never will, they're telling me, focus, you should not assume you have this.
She's eaten and breathed and lived this material, but that doesn't mean you're prepared for any obscure question that might come your way from any of the justices. And, you know, you only have one chance and you want to get it right.
I mean, the fact is we could lose. We've got 9 people making a decision for the entire country. If they think America is really not ready, they probably won't move forward.
Of the 5 that we need in the majority, we have 4 of them pretty for sure. Then we have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Scalia, Justice Thomas, and Justice Alito are extremely conservative. And there's no reason for me to think that Roberts is with us.
So the key court member that you need in any LGBT issue is Justice Kennedy. He's seen as the swing vote. Kennedy is really the audience of one that the advocates were speaking to.
All right, this could be groundbreaking, the history-making hearing that could change the lives of gay couples across the country.
The line is long, the hopes are high outside the United States Supreme Court, where people have been waiting for days to secure a spot for the same-sex marriage hearing on Tuesday.
Let's not be ashamed of who we are and who we represent. We represent the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And let's give God a big praise for our brother, Ryan Brown.
I can tell you right now, this is the largest March for Marriage ever. God bless you for being here. We don't accept, and it is not true that there's a civil right to redefine marriage. All you're going to do is you're going to further polarize American society.
President Obama likes to say that no one should lose their job because of who they love. What if who they love is Jesus Christ?
If the court tomorrow changes the law in this country, it doesn't change what marriage is, it just embeds a lie into the law.
We need to quit glorifying families without a father, to take a stand for justice for children, for men and women, and for our nation.
Where there is love, all things are possible.
When all can marry without fear of bias and discrimination, humankind moves forward. Islam moves forward. Justice and human dignity are cherished Jewish values.
We labor together toward the day when all people are welcomed.
We United Methodists recognize that sexuality is God's good gift to all persons.
Did Ruth and Naomi have a lesbian relationship? It is clear the 2 women had a lifelong, passionate, committed relationship celebrated in Scripture.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you. So name tags, and then you'll go get pictures taken.
Carol.
Okay.
Hi, April DeBoer.
Hi, nice to meet you.
here together.
Thank you care very much about this issue. Very much.
We were the first ones to challenge the California ban.
A picture where you each kiss me.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Wait, we need another one.
This is our.
Yeah.
I gave you lipstick.
Uh-huh.
I remember that.
You guys look so great. You guys haven't changed at all. It's ridiculous.
On the eve of the Supreme Court argument tomorrow, it is my delight to welcome all of you to this historic gathering of plaintiffs and attorneys from more than 33 states, spanning more than 40 years of our movement's battles in the courts of law and in the court of public opinion to win the freedom to marry. Will all the plaintiffs here tonight please raise your hands? And those who don't have their hands, please clap. And on that note, let's give a round of applause to the current Supreme Court plaintiffs, the Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and Tennessee couples here tonight. We've made our case to the country and to the courts, and tonight is for savoring the moment and looking forward in great hope.
Four years ago.
4 years of hard work comes to this.
Here we are. Equal justice under the law.
You violate the laws of God, you violate the laws of nature, and you better repent. Regardless of what the Supreme Court decides, this nation is still under the laws of God. What a shame.
For or against it? Fuck you, you coward. Go home.
So what is happening today in this building? Freedom, justice, and equality.
The Bible and the God of the Bible is that lawgiver. He is that lawgiver.
You know, you have to admire their conviction.
God
won't stand by you. He will destroy you.
God is love. God is love. God is not hate. God is love.
People told me they came from Louisiana and Texas. I was pretty amazed. Our folks are here. We're praying, hoping the court doesn't do the wrong things. See, no one knows until the court rules.
There's a higher court besides the Supreme Court, Gloria. And wait till you meet God.
Pray to God for the dismantlement of the danger to the whole nation. LGBTs against God and against humanity.
Everybody's here.
Wow.
Beautiful.
There he is.
Good, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Take care, you guys. Good luck.
Let's win.
Can I just give you a hug?
Totally.
Mazel tov. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. How'd it go in there?
I don't know. It was interesting. I think that's going to take me a while to process it.
Your response said you had a rough start. And that's the only thing that's out there yet. Yeah. Just goes to show you can't tell like where their heads are at.
We stand before you one step closer to being a legalized, recognized family, and hopefully we're on the right side of history and our kids will now have equal protection. Thank you.
The real heart of this issue, always, every day, is real people who've committed to one another, who simply want to make that commitment a legal one. And that's where we certainly hope this will all end up in the end. Thank you.
Everything I prepared is not what happened.
We are in good hands.
It's so hard to say how it went. Now our fate and the fate of our marriage is in the hands of nine justices. So we'll see what they do.
So proud of you. So proud of you. So proud of you.
You did the last lap.
You did the first lap. Don't even have that thought. Oh, well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Don't even think that thought.
Arguments went very well for us today. The one word that Kennedy started with was millennia, saying, why should we change what has existed for millennia? Why do we have the right to decide? The other side had built up expectations that oral arguments were going to overwhelmingly go in their direction. We have no rational arguments. Politico today has the audacity to have a Gerstein piece saying there are no arguments left against gay marriage. What a joke. What they want to do is, again, influence legislators, influence the court by predicting this inevitability. But the one problem is that it's not inevitable, and today's hearing made that 100% clear.
You're a Lambda person?
I am a Laura Levy. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
thank
today.
you. Yeah. Anyway, I did the best I could. It's amazing how
Stop it. You
Yeah.
did great.
I was a little unnerved by the whole process. You know, everyone knew that would be very aggressive questioning of whoever stood up first. And there was.
Mary got 3 sentences before she was interrupted, and she got interrupted like in a weird direction right to begin with.
Mary got a crazy barrage of wild hypothetical questions, everything from polygamy to ancient Greece. You know, Mary was just hit with it was like bam, bam, bam.
Now, I'd hoped to talk more about equality, but on the other hand, they had plenty of questions. A lot of them were putting me on the defensive, without a doubt. And what do you do when you're at the position? You try to respectfully answer the question, but also pivot to your own points. And so I did that. I tried to do that repeatedly.
That was a very good pickup of that. That was the response that was responded to.
You were so ready. Are you feeling okay? It's so hard. I think you had such a hard run. I really do.
You know, every lawyer has the argument they think they're going to have, then the one they have, and then the one they wish they had.
Here's to 5 organizations that have spent 20 years in the trenches to ensure that we have lived equality in our community. That message will be heard worldwide. We are grateful. Thank you.
If we lose the Supreme Court, it's not fine at all. There's a very good chance that many of the states that are in the bag now would be undone. We would have to, spend literally hundreds of millions of dollars fighting ballot fights in some of the toughest places in the country.
If they think we're not ready, we're stuck. We're stuck for probably 10 years.
For us to lose this case brings us squarely to the point where a class of people are denied marriage because of who they are, because they are second class. And that's something I truly hope this court would not do.
I don't want to be an LGBT person in this country, with that being the answer. Because the impact will be devastating.
How
we doing on the working up quickly a concept and a plan to be ready on the air if we lose?
Well, what do you think the theme should be if we lose?
This matters to real people. It's a real injury, and it's not living up to America's promise, but we're going to get there, and here's how we're going to get there.
How tough should we be on the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court let America down today?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Today, the Supreme Court let the country down, but Americans are better than this, and the stakes are too high, and we know how to get there, and we're going to get there. No loss is going to stop us, and that we're not going to take no for an answer.
It pisses me off so much to think that we could lose. The notion of waiting for a new court, which means justices to leave the court, is,
Right, but hopefully we won't go there.
Going in here. May I please have the Athenian omelet, but without the mushrooms, please?
That's my order. Except I want egg white and well done. Yeah, I like everything well done. Do you
Likewise. Thank you. Divided justices spar over right to gay marriage. Do you suspect that's the headline they wanted? I do.
Frankly, I'm fine with divided.
Yes.
So what's your travel schedule between now and?
Well, my travel schedule primarily involves, of course, going back and forth to Washington, D.C. and waiting for a decision. Definitely want to be in the courtroom when they decide. Although I plan to go back and forth, so of course I can see my kids in the morning. Yeah, that's the deal. Yeah.
I'm not planning to go to D.C. I want to be in New York, roll out the team and respond and back you up and...
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to handle both scenarios. If there were a loss, it would reverberate on so many levels, but it's hard not to worry at the same time. I mean, I know this is an annoying thing about me, but I don't want to take things for granted. I don't, and let me ask you, do you feel like this is your life's work? I resist that framing.
Well, Freedom to Marry will close down, but I would like to think there is another chapter coming. You know, I do feel like, wow, I've been writing about this, speaking about it, working on it constantly in one form or another for 32 years.
At the same time, there's other issues we have got to get our arms around to make sure that throughout the whole life cycle, people have freedoms and opportunities. Their life circumstances haven't been disadvantaged because of who they are. I have not listened to the tape. I have read the transcript. I have not listened to the tape. Since I'm listening, I might as well take some notes, right? Okay.
We'll hear argument this morning in case number 14556, Obergefell versus Hodges, and the consolidated cases. Ms. Bonauto.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, the intimate and committed relationships of same-sex couples, just like those of heterosexual couples, provide mutual support and are the foundation of family life in our society.
It's interesting. I was trying to talk slow, but I'm clearly talking fast. Okay.
You're not seeking to join the institution. You're seeking to change what the institution is. The fundamental core of the institution is the opposite sex relationship, and you want to introduce into it a same-sex relationship.
I think when we look at the 14th Amendment, we know that it provides enduring guarantees. The question is whether gay people share that same liberty to be able to form family.
Clearly, I'm sticking with the Constitution. I think the Constitution's on our side.
Do you know of any society prior to the Netherlands in 2001 that permitted same-sex marriage?
As a legal matter, no?
As a legal matter.
I am not. I am not. I mean,
Okay. I have paid for that answer. I mean, it's clearly a time, and I think some people wish I had said, there have been gay people through the millennia. There have been same-sex couples forming relationships through the millennia. And that's all true. It wasn't the question, however. The question was, are there societies that have permitted same-sex marriage as a legal matter?
But did they have same-sex marriage in ancient Greece?
yeah, I don't believe they had anything comparable to what we have, Your Honor. You know, and we're talking about...
Well, they had marriage, didn't they?
Yeah, they had, yes.
And
They had some sort of marriage.
they had same-sex relations, did they not?
Yes, and they also were able to.
So their limiting marriage to couples of the opposite sex was not based on prejudice against gay people, was it?
I can't speak to what was happening with the ancient philosophers.
I mean, there may be an opinion out there that references ancient Greece. I haven't found one.
I would like to hear the precise answer to the question you've been asked several times.
Okay.
The opposite view has been the law everywhere for thousands of years. And suddenly, you want 9 people outside the ballot box to require states to change what marriage is to include gay people. Why cannot those states at least wait and see?
It's not about the court versus the states. It's about the individual making the choice to marry and with whom to marry or the government.
I've been wanting to say that. I'm not going to sit down until I say that. So I said it.
I hear that Michigan loves adoption, and in fact,
Yeah, I have to admit I was mad. And I was mad because I thought about the suffering and the pain that these women, and so many like them, go through with the fact that only one of them is allowed to be the parent. They can't tell their kids that they're really a whole one big family in law. I felt like it was an example of doublespeak, and I was determined to address it.
because by denying marriage to same-sex couples, we're denying not only the protection for the adults, which is independently important, we're denying those protections and that security that would come from having married parents. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, counsel. The court will take a brief break and return to the bench in 5 minutes.
All right, then. Yeah, it's not a touchy-feely experience. It's not a warm and fuzzy experience, I guess is really more the way to put it. It's not a warm and fuzzy experience, but what can I say? I think that it's a great system where people can, weigh in with all this law. People who have an expertise can weigh in on both sides. And then there's this hearing. Again, I think it's the tip of the iceberg at the hearing, but it's a system I think we can be proud of. It's not true everywhere.
All right, so everybody knows why we're here. Obviously, today's one of what may be the one decision day or a set of decision days that arguably are possible, but then turn out not to be ours, and we have to keep gathering. Starting at 10, the court convenes. Within a few minutes after 10, they will start announcing decisions. There are 20 decisions waiting. Literally, until we get the ruling, nobody knows what the answer is. Meanwhile, we all are refreshing our SCOTUS blog in order to get the news from people on the ground.
Third and final. Well, we're done for the day.
So we're all on for Thursday.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, so let's just run through, like today, if it had come through, what's going to happen?
So we'll go up with all of our prepared social media. Ideally, weddings will begin right away in many states.
Some places, yeah.
And just kind of keeping people posted.
Okay, so today obviously was unusually fast. Like we were done within a minute.
Yeah. Maybe they'll make it easy on all of us and save it to the very last day.
Right. Great. So today we were ready and back to work.
She wants to increase the character limit.
Okay, let's do it. Do we have champagne?
Wait, wait, wait. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Same time tomorrow.
Go back to your desk and start working. Not us today. So we're back to work. So
thank you, everybody.
Obamacare? Oh, it's not us today, by the chief.
So ready.
I woke up this morning singing One Day More, so I think it's tomorrow.
Say decision day. All right, say back to work.
What is it? So we can go back to work.
Oh, we got a text from Mary. It says, "Hi, April. Please know I am thinking of you, Jane, and your amazing kids each and every day. No matter what happens, we're right. Thank you for having me as part of your team. My best and big hugs all around, Mary." Isn't that sweet? Maybe it will come today.
Okay, let's do it. Here we are again. I'm sure everybody's feeling the pressure, the tension, the anxiety. Today would be a lovely day to finish the campaign. Actually, can I just have 1 sec with everybody?
Yes.
No matter what happens, I just really want to say thank you to all of you. This has been a wonderful team, and we all have done such great work together. I don't know if I will ever have another team like this, and thank you all.
9:59, 10 o'clock. Here we go. Okay. Are you schwitzing?
My palms are sweaty.
Should we go around the room?
Yeah, should we?
Oh, marriage? What?
They're gonna start with it?
Huh? Marriage. Holy shit.
Here we go. Kennedy has the opinion.
Oh my God!
Chris Geithner, the Supreme Court ends same-sex marriage bans nationwide. We are now the campaign that won Marriage Nation. Wow.
I'm Mary Bonauto, and I want to say today was a momentous decision, and it is going to bring joy to millions of families, gay and straight, across this land. And I thank everyone who's helped make this day possible, millions of people.
now we can actually be a legal family. And so apparently we have to plan a marriage.
Well, that only took 32 years.
Our nation was founded on a bedrock principle, that we are all created equal. The project of each generation is to bridge the meaning of those founding words with the realities of changing times. A never-ending quest to ensure those words ring true for every single American. Progress on this journey often comes in small increments, sometimes 2 steps forward, 1 step back, propelled by the persistent effort of dedicated citizens. And then sometimes there are days like this, when that slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt. What an extraordinary achievement. What a vindication of the belief that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Those countless, often anonymous heroes, they should be very proud. America should be very proud.
To the freedom to marry. We did it!
I feel like I do this work because of love for so many people and the aspirations of so many people who just want to be able to be who they are.
In 20 years, hopefully I'll be married. And my wife and I can have a conversation with our daughter, and, you know, she says, well, why was marriage ever a thing?
There's a tremendous amount of work still to be done. But this was a conversation that engaged our entire country about who gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgender people really are.
So many people did not live to see this moment. What a privilege to be alive. I mean, my God, who gets to do that?
And I hope that future generations take it for granted that they have the freedom to marry, because they should be able to take that for granted.
It's very much like my paper. Actually, it weaves together things in the way that I wrote them. Beautiful.
I always believed we could win. You have to believe.